Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of Your Goal Guide and 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So every week I bring together some of my people to dive into, and today's topic is visibility. I mean, we're all visible, we're all here, but there's a little or a lot more to that, especially as entrepreneur. I am saying two words at once. I've tried to say entrepreneur and consultant at the same time. Let me try again. As entrepreneurs, consultants, creative people, subject matter experts, the point is for people to know who you are. And without visibility, that it just doesn't work. So I'm excited to dive in today. Whether you're watching us as GoalChat Live, you are watching the replay, or listening to us as the GoalChat podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network, I'm so glad you're here. We're glad you're here and diving into the power of visibility. And with me, I have the always awesome Bobbie Carlton, who, by the way, is one of the achievers featured in 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. Bobbie is the founder of Innovation Women and also Carlton PR and Marketing, hence the name and the company. So, and like 5 or 10 other companies, but we'll let you do that when you introduce yourself. Erik Deutsch, who I have known forever from like in real life. And this is his first time on the show. So really excited to have you in this world, Erik. And Karen Gunther, who is one of my newer friends. We met through Bryn Tillman and her social sales link weekly powwows. And actually, Karen, we were talking at one of these office hour meetups, and I said, Karen, I can't believe we don't know each other. Just come on my show, or we don't know each other better. And I'm like, she's like, we could do a Zoom. And I'm like, oh, you could just come on GoalChat. So I'm thrilled to have such a vast knowledge base today to talk all about visibility, but I'm at an advantage. I know who these people are, but you probably don't. So Bobbie, please share who you are and why visibility, and spoiler alert, that is her secret in 52 Secrets.
I'm a huge fan of visibility. In fact, it is the theme that runs through my not 10 companies, Deb, but five companies. So
I wrap up.
So the day job is Carlton PR Marketing. That's how I actually make a living. For many years, I ran an event called Innovation Nights, which was a monthly new product launch event. We launched 1,500 new products that got more than $4 billion in funding. And every month, our social media amplification program drove between 2 and 3 million views. This all led to my third company, which is what I consider the dream job. So I have the day job, the night job, and the dream job. Innovation Women is the dream job. And in 2020, it acquired 2 additional companies, My Speaker Leads and Lioness Magazine for the Women Entrepreneurs.
Awesome. And you're like, and I was introduced to you at the beginning of the pandemic because my 2020 goal was to do corporate speaking, and then everything shut down. Like, do you know Bobbie Carlton? 5 years later, here we are. And I always learn something new every time you're on this show. So I'm thrilled to have you here.
Thanks for the invite.
Erik, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, Debra. Thanks for including me on the show today. I appreciate the invite, and kudos on your latest book, of course.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Well, I work in public relations, like it sounds. Everybody on the.
We've got PR, we've got marketing, and we've got PR and marketing, so we're covered.
I don't even know what that means anymore. It seems like everything is converged into some kind of integrated marketing, communications, PR.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself, Erik.
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I work in public relations, which is a basic, put basically means that I help my clients communicate strategically based on some sort of objective that they can measure against. So it's very deliberate, very strategic communication. That's what I do. I didn't plan to work in PR. I didn't study PR. In fact, when I got my first job in PR, which I landed, kind of haphazardly with a big agency. I didn't know anything about PR, not a clue. But in retrospect, it was a very good match because when I was a kid, and I'm talking about a little kid, like 7, 8 years old, my favorite TV show was, in fact, the local news. So as a 7 and 8-year-old kid, I'd watch hours of local news every night. And I was just fascinated with the news and with the media and how people perceive the world around them. So in retrospect, it was a very good match. Before that, I wanted to be an architect, but it just didn't stick. Today, I run a boutique PR firm here in Los Angeles called ExcelPR Group. We do full service public relations and more. Work with all kind of clients. And before that, I worked with big agencies and small agencies and really everything in between. So I've been doing this for a while. It's funny when you are early in your career, you kind of fudge the numbers up a little bit. So if you've been working 3 or 4 years, you say, well, 5 years in the field, or 8 or 9, you say, well, 10 years. But now I don't know how everybody else feels, but when you get to like 20, you just want to cap it and say, I have 20. Let's just leave it at that.
I do believe I've got 20 plus years in project management communication.
There you go. So
let's go with that number.
You can relate. And then just finally, in addition to my day job, I am also an adjunct professor at USC Annenberg, where I teach a graduate course on platforms and the platform economy, which I really enjoy very much.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to have you here. And we are going to be digging more into, of course, what is this conflux that is PR marketing? It's like we need a new word. But first, let's meet Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hello, Deb. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I truly appreciate that. As you heard, my name is Karen Gunther. I'm the president and visibility wizard of Stay Visible Marketing. I actually come at this from a very different angle. I have over 30 years, I'm going to claim it, of sales experience. And I discovered that I was really good at consistent communications with my clients. And that's what drove my sales success when I had a really long sales cycle. So I decided about 13 years ago to start my own company and to help other companies do the same thing. And from that, I have developed email marketing programs, social media programs for companies that just need somebody to handle it for them. The owners want to go to bed at night and say, yep, that's getting done. And I can check the box and it feels good that that's happening and it's happening professionally and it has the right tone, it has the right message, and it's also driving business. In addition to that, a couple of years ago, I decided, you know what, some sales reps that I've been working with in the firms that I work with needed more additional training. So I'm training their salespeople how to be more visible individually using the same social media and email channels, as well as just their own individual outreach that they do. Much like others here, I am mentor at the local college, California State University, San Marcos, and I am what's called an executive in residence, and I provide coaching for the students that are part of the College of Business program. And it is my job to help those young people learn how to navigate the world of networking. That's my primary skill that I provide to them. But in addition to that, how to do corporate politics, how to get a job, how to put themselves in the best light, what it's like out there, how to embrace LinkedIn, how to embrace new ways of being connected and being visible at the start of their career. So it's really exciting. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, awesome. I love this whole body of knowledge that we have here. We've got individual, we've got group. And I was going to ask a different question, but I'm going to do a yes and to it because I like to start with defining the topic, even though it's like visibility, it's being seen. But what is visibility and in what ways has that term changed since I think we're all admitting to have been in business for at least 25 years or so. What do you think, Bobbie? What is visibility and how has that definition changed? And I feel like a lot really recently.
Yeah. And actually, I was kind of doing the count on my fingers and went, oh God, that number is a really large number. And It starts with a 4. But I'm actually kind of thinking back to 1994. I had been in public relations. I had been kind of the head of global PR for a couple of big enterprise software companies. I had worked for agencies. And there I was in 1994 faxing in my driver's license to get the website domain for my company. And I had a little epiphany at that moment. It's like, if I can do this, anybody can do this. Because I was faxing in my personal information. And I was kind of saying to myself, if I can do this, anybody can do this. And oh my God, the media's going to die. It's going to just be buried under this crush of people who are all going to go online for this www thing. Like 1994, I don't know if you remember this, but that's when you started seeing things like Coke cans with www.coke.com and things like that. And, it was a huge change because before that, we had gatekeepers. Like we had the media who were the arbiters of what I could see and what I couldn't see. And that was the moment where I decided that going forward, henceforth, I would not be thinking that PR was the be all end all. And I was going to make sure that I understood this whole new world of www. So it took me a little while. Some of my jobs, I changed jobs in 2000, went to another big enterprise software company, and I made sure that I got in really tight with the website people. And we started doing things like micro sites and stuff like that. And every job after that, I wasn't just the PR person. So that was like a big career change. Now, the media didn't die, obviously, but boy, it's a little bit sickly. I would say that much, just in terms of business models and representation and reputation.
Yes. Anyone want a yes and that definition? Erik.
I think you raised a really good question because it may be easier today to be visible, but I think it is much more difficult to really be heard. Because everybody's a publisher. Kind of dovetailing on what was just said. We all have the ability now to create content and distribute it and get it out to potentially a global audience in real time. And that's really powerful, but it makes it very competitive. And there's just so much noise out there that I think we need to be more than visible. We need to be heard.
I want to add one word to that. Credible.
Credible.
We also need to be credible. And I think that whole credibility factor is a big thing to add on to that.
So that leads me into my and when you come to the credible. I remember 1994. I remember when I'm old enough to know when that happened. And that was a big shift. And every time there's a big shift, there's people are going to lose their jobs. Oh, this is going to go away. That's going to go away. They invented the vacuum. I'm still cleaning my floors, right? They have a Roomba, but you still have to manage the Roomba, right? So there's still a job to be had. And the thing is that the landscape has changed in these last 30 years now. The last 30 years since 94. Absolutely, the landscape has changed. And with the landscape change, the jobs have changed. So many people talk about what's happening right now with the AI influx. And, all these jobs are going to go away. The jobs will be changing. So it is on us to stay ahead of that and to learn and to be constantly curious and constant learners, because we all had to learn about www. And we all remember the days where we wanted to put Los Angeles, CA, Burbank, CA, Camarillo CA on our websites on the different pages, so they'd be seen by Google. Now that's now no longer seen properly. So credibility specifically is actually how AI is also reviewing us, and it's looking for that credibility. So the more credibility, the more facts, the more value we bring, the more visible we will be.
I remember, and I did competitive public speaking in college, and I remember people doing speeches about the internet.
No, information superhighway.
Right? And I worked in publishing at a time where it changed from everything was like typeset to digital. I mean, I was there during that process, and that feels like so long ago that we did things, got our hands dirty, like literally, not metaphorically, but now I feel like to be visible, you really need to incorporate all of the things.
Yeah, no, you really do have to do all. And the one thing I wanted to add, and this ties into what you're saying, Deb, is that when I started doing email marketing back in 2012, it was a completely different Wild West experience using Constant Contact, MailChimp, all those people, all those third party, completely different experience. And then 2018 rolled around, 2017 rolled around, and everything stopped and domains had to be authorized. And that was a brand new thing. I literally had to hire an IT firm to explain that to me, because I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why are my emails not going through? And so I was a couple of years ahead of that curve, because I recognized it and saw what was going on and said, okay, here we go. I need to get curious. I need to learn. And now there's all this domain authority and there's this authorizations that need to happen. And it's just really interesting how that works. Because you do have to do everything, but you have to do it in a way that, to Erik's point, that you're heard, that it actually gets into the inbox, or it gets into the person's feed, or gets in front of their eyeballs.
Okay, so I wanna backtrack on the question then. What does it mean to be visible now? And what do people need to do to be that? Okay, we got crickets, audio listeners, and some laughter. Bobbie, do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about visibility. Like, I literally have a tagline that says visibility equals opportunity.
Yes.
And when you are visible, whether it's social media visible through being quoted in the media, if it's your own website, if it's email blasts, whatever it is that you're doing to be visible, it has to be tied to some kind of action. We call that a call to action, CTA, in the whole marketing vernacular. And we have to give people an opportunity to do something. Visibility for visibility's sake, I don't feel is worthwhile. If you are just being visible because here I am, without any thought to what happens next for the audience, I feel like you definitely need to be thinking through why you're spending money on that visibility.
I want to pick up on that, because that's exactly a point I would want to make. And I mentioned in my intro about helping clients think strategically about communications. We tend to get very enamored with shiny objects. And I have clients or prospective clients all the time say, we want to do a campaign on this platform. And I go, great. What are we trying to accomplish? It's like we don't start with the objectives and then identifying who we're trying to reach, the audience. It's only after you've done that you should move on to strategies and tactics. And this is not unique to the digital age, or the internet, or the web, or AI, or anything. This is just foundational, that you have to think about what you're trying to accomplish. It's like getting a new tool at Home Depot and coming home, and rather than thinking about what you need to fix at your house, you walk around with your new tool looking for something to fix with your new tool. We don't do that, right? That would seem kind of odd to walk around.
Mama's got a new hammer.
Yeah, and then let me find something I can hammer. We don't do that. We identify the need, and then we find the right tool. And I think that is really essential in any age. with communications.
Okay, so I don't need that new appliance until I've got something to cook in it, is what you're saying.
Am I? I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Sure, why not?
Yeah, you don't need a circular saw unless you actually need a circular saw. Although put it into
Yeah, but I need my Instant Pot. So maybe
lamp.
that's a terrible analogy because
Let's talk about power tools. I can work
we
with
can
that.
do power tools.
Yeah.
And so what does it mean to be visible now? I think it's about being relevant and actually providing a solution. People have problems. The opportunity for people to not have problems, I don't think has ever existed. People have problems in their business. They have challenges. They have things that need to be solved. And that's not going to go away. The question is how do you determine what those things are, and how do you focus on those people with your type of solution? So it's about how to be visible is doing a lot of work, is doing a lot of research. It's understanding who you are, what you provide, and the solutions that you have, and then learning how to find the people that need that solution rather than just doing a shotgun method of saying, here I am.
Well, we are in the school of, of who you are, how you help, because and I still have conversations with people who think LinkedIn is a resume, not a resource. If you're that person, and I always say that LinkedIn is the first place. If you're only on one social media, to be on LinkedIn, because people will look you up the same way you look other people up. But the whole mind shift, I think, from resume to resource is using the platform to show what you do. So the people who need you know that they can go to you, or people can refer people to you. Anybody want to take the LinkedIn baton?
I mean, I do want to challenge your be on LinkedIn before anything else, because it's really very much audience dependent. If I'm trying to reach, 80-year-old senior citizens who might be a market for XYZ product, it might be better on Facebook where they're hanging out talking to about their grandchildren. They might not be on LinkedIn because they don't have that need that the rest of us had to show their professional expertise.
Yeah, it's an interesting question comes up there, because I do a lot of work in healthcare, medical devices and biotech. And I've had clients say, we want to reach a certain type of B2B client. Maybe it could be physicians that have a certain specialty in a certain part of the country or something. And they'll say, well, what's the best media to reach them? And they think I'm going to tell them some obscure medical publication or something. And oftentimes I'll say, like Facebook. And they're not satisfied with that. They don't like that answer. But on the other hand, if they come to me and say Facebook, I'll come back to them and say, yeah, but does your audience that you're trying to reach, do they want to get your message on Facebook? I had a client that makes medical stents that are used in heart surgery. And, most doctors or patients don't really want to get pitched a stent on Facebook. It might not be the best avenue for that. So you're asking all the right questions. The answers are tough.
I need to edit my response before I let Karen jump in. LinkedIn and. So this is my my thing, and I've been on LinkedIn for 20 years. So do more math, people. I was reading a book once, and it said, whatever you do right now, stop what you're doing and join LinkedIn. So I did. And so I've watched it go from being, this place that developed into now, which it's like whenever a different social media develops a different thing, wait 6 months, there'll be a version on LinkedIn. It is way more social than it was in the beginning. I am not trying to tangent. I just can't help myself. My point is, if you are professional in business, it's not going to hurt you to have a LinkedIn profile, because, as I said before, and we'll say at least 2 more times, you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. That is where you find your resources, your partners, your champions, and then you go to the place where your audience is as well.
Okay, now I'm going to jump in.
Please do.
Yes. When you're in a B2B, I primarily work in B2B. So that I understand your point, Bobbie, 100%. You have to go where your people are. I'm generally a B2B person. And what I find is that 80% of the research is done before the person even calls somebody. So that's where that credibility, that's where those resources, that's where that all that information is available on all the different platforms where they might be willing to go to take a look. If they're just going to do a Google search, it needs to be able to come up in that area in terms of visibility. And then once they get to your website, then they're like, oh, these people actually look like they know what they're talking about. And the people walk down that path of, okay, now I'm going to reach out to somebody. So then they go on LinkedIn because they click on the little LinkedIn logo on the web page, and then is the company page professional? Does it look like anybody's maintaining it? Does it look like, they've got an open sign on their door, right? And then once you go, it's like, okay, I'm going to go talk to the sales rep. Well, like, look at the sales rep's profile, and it looks like they're trying to find a job. It doesn't look like they're trying to help me. So that's where we learn in the Bryn Tillman method of social sales link is that you have to have a client-centric profile, because once the sales rep gets a job, we immediately have them change their profile to be a client-centric profile so that when the client goes there, they get that warm fuzzy that, yes, this person can actually help me with my problem. So I think that's where it plays a part, and it just is yet one more arrow in the quiver that you have. It's an important arrow, but it just lends that very important credibility. And the changes that happened with LinkedIn dramatically occurred back in 2016 when Microsoft purchased them. And then on November 3rd of 2017, they stopped allowing you to download email addresses. Not that I remember the day, but I remember the day that happened. And then they changed this, and then they changed that. And now they have a very robust platform, and congratulations to them for figuring that out. And I still don't know of any other platform that operates the same way. I haven't seen one come up yet that has made it.
No, I haven't either. And I will say also that like LinkedIn has become my second brain.
Mm-hmm.
It is the place that I go whenever I'm making connections for anybody. It is the place that I go when I'm trying to remember literally what I did 40 years ago. Where was I? Oh, yeah, that's where I was. And those were the clients because I put it on LinkedIn. I swear it has more information than my own resume.
And as it should, because how many times are you asked for your resume now?
Never. I own my own company. Why would I be?
Because it's available online, and that is the power of that. So it's just important to realize that it is the only game in town when it comes to business. It's good for finding they have a LinkedIn Learning. They took over Linda.
Oh, yeah.
And the LinkedIn Learning is fantastic. So let's say that right now you're, as a company owner, you're interested in AI. Identify one person on your staff that could be your AI initiative leader. And then you pay the extra $30 a month and they get access to the LinkedIn Learning. And then they go take every ChatGPT or every AI or every Copilot course that they have on LinkedIn. And now you're cooking and you're keeping up. There's a lot of resources there to be had.
Absolutely. Can we talk about AI, Deb?
I think we already are.
Because Karen said it first.
Yes, please.
So
what is it? Do you want a question, or do you just want to riff?
I want to riff on it. So one of the things that I've been talking about lately in terms of AI and credibility and visibility is the importance of live in-person events. Because I feel like with the rise of AI, especially in video, and some of it becoming even more realistic, like who also got fooled by the bunnies on the trampoline, right? And everybody's looking at me. No, really? Oh, you guys are not
Wait,
in
what
my
bunnies
TikTok.
on what trampoline?
Okay, so it was a big thing. Like there was this supposed ring video late at night vision with a whole bunch of bunnies getting onto somebody's trampoline and bouncing on the trampoline. And it was like the cutest thing. Totally AI, totally fake. And
totally viral.
and totally viral. And now people are like, put a whale on the trampoline, put a bear on the trampoline. And, it's a good lesson in how realistic some of this AI generated video is. And there are great lessons in that particular video about how to see if something is AI, because boy, that thing looked real. So, if all of this video out there looks real and it's harder and harder for people to tell what is real, what is the last bastion of credible content? In-person events.
Or just an in-person meeting for that matter.
Yep. Absolutely. Anything where you can reach out and touch that
And
person.
how do you get in? So if you're in a business-to-business scenario, I have a client that is, I'm not going to say what the tactic that they're using because I don't want to share that out of confidentiality, but they are doing something to ensure that they're able to get back into where they've been before, to be able to meet the existing or the current decision makers, the current influencers. And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. And so what can you do as a business owner to make sure that you're doing that personal connection? And I'm going to add on, I'm going to go ahead and do an and on there for you, Deb, is if you can use technology, and I'm all about technology, if you can use technology and AI to take care of all the other things, then you have time to go do that live visit.
I like that. And this is my opinion on AI. It's the same opinion I have on SMART goals, and I don't particularly care for SMART goals, but they're a tool. AI is a tool. And when you look at it as a tool to make your life better, and I love your example, more AI could do than the more you can be, that is the point. But when you get sucked into, let it be my personality, and by the way, all these conversations, there's only one me.
I want to talk for a moment about offline events, because that was an interesting point. And I think that what we're doing right now shows that offline events are pretty challenging because, we're meeting online. I mean, if 20 years ago, you would have found a venue, Deborah, and you would have, put out, people would have met in person. We'd be sitting behind a panel. But now we're online.
But she would have been limited by who she personally knew in her geography, but now she's unlimited by the amount of people that she meets.
I'm in Boston, and you guys are all California, right?
California,
Or
and not even nearby because Karen is up.
I might as well be a lifetime away.
Yeah. And what I love to say, and I think I mentioned in the intro, is of the 60 people I interviewed for 52 Secrets, maybe a quarter of them I had met in person. And most of the people in the book are those that I've developed friendships with thanks to the pandemic. And this show, which was my first pandemic project, it wasn't a panel show until the end of 2020, but the access we have to other people, I mean, that there is a balance. I love in-person events, and I'm actually starting an in-person event series with 52 Secrets in August. If you're in LA, I'll put the link in the recap. We're doing our kickoff in Glendale, but fireside and mini panel conversations. But again, that wouldn't happen without the book, and the book wouldn't happen without all this.
Well, the IRL experience is every time I travel, I try to meet with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Personally or professionally. Last time I traveled, I met with Janice Porter, who you know, Deb.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you took a picture. It was adorable.
Yes, we went out to dinner together. She's in British Columbia. She's in Vancouver, and I was there, so I visited with her, and we had a lovely dinner together. And it was so nice to be able to make that personal connection. And I literally travel all over the world. My husband and I are very capable, very able to do that. It's amazing. We set a goal, and we're able to do that. And when we do that, I mean, I was in a bakery in Singapore and picked up a client. I mean, how's that? How does that work, right? But it works.
I do not know how relevant the story is, but I have to share it. So a week ago, and I really think it speaks to the power of meeting people in person, because it used to be you would meet people in person and connect with them online and continue the conversation. These days, you connect with people online and continue the conversation in person when you are able to. I was at the California restaurant show a little over a week ago, and I'm in the bathroom just saying to no one in particular, isn't it hilarious that the Fit Expo is right next to the California restaurant show? And then I hear Debra, and I look over, yes. And then I hear Debra Eckerling. So Terry Friedman, who I worked with in 2007 when we were both in corporate land, who I have not seen since, other than on Facebook, recognized me. You don't know when you're going to trip over someone you know. Sometimes it's on purpose, and sometimes it's just hilarious, like what happened last week. And I managed to stop the conversation. So what we're saying is a big part of visibility is being yourself, being genuine, being valued, but also being out there, whether it's in person or online.
Yes, and I'm just gonna go ahead and run and use the hammer again, Erik. I'm gonna use a hammer.
Sure.
With a nail, not a screw, but a nail. And I'm gonna
warn me next time.
And I'm gonna hang the sign of use technology in every single way you can in order to be able to allow yourself to be a human being. And that will make you more visible, and that will make you more credible, and that will make you more authentic.
Okay. So for example, what is your favorite way to be visible because technology has freed up so much of your time?
You can pick up the phone, you can have Zoom chats with people. I have time to be able to do something like this with you today. Normally I have a standing 4 p.m. phone call with a client, but I was able to move it to tomorrow because it's, movable. So I can make time to be with you today.
Love that. Okay. So that is your big hack for being more visible is to free up time to be more visible.
I want to just step in one more just for a moment with live events, because I'm very active with a PR society, the LA chapter of national group. And, pre-pandemic, we had all these live events. And sometimes we'd have a breakfast series where people would show up literally at 7:30 in the morning downtown.
Which is where we met originally like 15 years ago, I think.
Was it one of those? Perhaps.
Yeah. Serena was speaking at a thing at Olympic Collection.
That may have been the PR society, or that could have been a Business Wire meeting.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. The fact that, what matters is that those things don't happen anymore.
No, and people don't want to show up live anymore. So it's more important to be in person individually with people.
People don't even want to go to work. Go into work. So getting them at 7:30 in the morning to show up at an event, dressed and parked and everything. When we have the opportunity to meet people in person, we have to savor it, because that I feel is becoming more difficult to do, at least through events.
Bobbie?
I'm gonna so I ran a monthly product launch event for 11 years, 137 events. These events ranged from a couple hundred people to over 1,200 people in the Boston market, all focused around in-person events and launching new products. Every single event had between 10 and 15 startups there showcasing their new product. And the pandemic came and we stopped doing live events, obviously. And a lot of people are like, just go online. And I'm like, you know what? It's not the same. And I've got so much going on with Innovation Women, which is my speakers bureau. And we started up a weekly event on Zoom. We call it Speaker Friend Friday. And people drop in, and it has become a thing. Like 50 to 100 people show up every Friday morning, or West Coast friendly times, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, first and third Fridays. And they talk about everything related to public speaking, writing books, marketing themselves as a speaker, using speaking as marketing. And these drop-in anytime events are like for me, best part of my week. I get to see my people, talk to them, answer things, solve problems for folks. And it's not just me responding one to many. It's a whole group of people talking to each other. So you would think like I would have been the person that said, yep, innovation nights can go online. But there was something intangible about it that really did make a difference of being in person. And I could not get that same vibe doing it online. Yeah, we did a couple of events online, but those in-person events were just so special. It's 5.5 years after I did the last live innovation nights, and I still can't walk across Kendall Square without somebody stopping me and going, when's innovation nights coming back? Like, it's been 5.5 years. You need to get over that.
So let me ask you this, Bobbie.
Yeah.
What do you think would bring people together? Because to Erik's point, it's really hard to get people dislodged from their chair.
Absolutely. And I'm in the Boston market, and the Boston market is special when it comes to startups. There is a weekly event. It is called Venture Cafe, run by the Cambridge Innovation Center, and they have done in-person meetups every Thursday, late afternoon into the evening for years, with a chunk taken out for the pandemic. Like, it was about 1.5 years of no in-person events, but they are back, and they came roaring back. And, it's like I went to one just last week, and it's like, it's packed. Like, people are there, and they are there, quite frankly, from all over the world. Like, when people come to Boston to get immersed in the startup culture, make sure you're there on Thursday, because then you can go to Venture Cafe. So they are alive and well and doing really well. Some specific events that are going on in the Boston market, there's a female founders breakfast that has been running for, I don't know, months. And when I go to that, it's packed. They have a waiting list. The Venture Lane does in-person events. And when TechCrunch was out here in the Boston market doing TechCrunch Disrupt, they had an add-on official, unofficial event. And it was also waiting list only and packed. So I think when people get to meet other people like them, and there's an opportunity to learn from each other and to connect in person, I think people are taking it.
Yeah,
And,
Bobbie,
I wish I could say, like, yes, this will happen for every in-person event you run, but it doesn't. There's something intangible about that.
yeah, I was just going to say that, Bobbie, you have a good point about Boston. It may be a little bit easier. LA is so spread out that when you have an organization that tries to cater to the region.
Yeah.
If we do an event downtown, everybody on the west side said, I'm not going downtown. And then if we do an event on the west side, people east of that say, oh, I'm not going all the way to the west side. And God forbid you do an event in the valley.
Yeah. I mean, Boston is definitely a smaller market and geographically targeted. We have traffic problems, though, and we have.
Really. But you have good public transportation, too.
Indeed.
Better than ours. Better than Southern California.
I love the MBTA, but has yours caught on fire lately?
We don't even have one.
We don't have one to catch on fire.
And Erik, if you're Southern California, I'm in Temecula. I can't go anywhere without an hour drive just to see civilization.
Yeah.
It is beautiful where you're at, though.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah. Middle of the night, I could be in Boston in 15 minutes. Rush hour, 2 hours.
Easily.
Okay,
So it is what it is. So, you have to find your people. Like, I'm toying with doing the Chamber of Commerce here locally is very, very active. They have a phenomenal, and I keep saying I'm going to join, and I keep not doing it because I'm busy. But one of these days I will join, because I do know that if I want to be visible locally and I want to pick up clients locally, most of my clients are on the East Coast, actually, for a variety of reasons. But, it's just, it would be an easy ad for me in terms of visibility.
Yeah.
to seek out where are my people. And I think that would be a good thing to tack on, Deb, is where are your people? That's a good question to ask yourself. Where are your people? Who are the people that you need to talk to? What are they? What do they do? Where do they collect? What do they like? And if you need to be the one to put the event together and bring the people together, then maybe you do that. I mean, that's what you've done here today, Deb.
Well, I get to do a panel every week. I mean, I've designed my life pretty well. Anyone asks me my favorite form of marketing, I just say my show, and this is a great example because Karen, as I mentioned, I said we hadn't had a conversation offline and we could have done it without people watching, but isn't this just way more fun?
Why not?
I'd like to know from Erik what you find valuable to go to in LA. And I will admit, a few weeks ago, there was an event in Redondo, and I checked the traffic, and at 2:00, it was already at an hour to get there. Yeah. And I made a list of all the things I could do if I didn't go, because there was another, and it was a book people related mixer. There's going to be one in August in, I think, Culver City. Well, okay. that for me, I have to weigh, is the traffic worth my time?
To go to an event, like a breakfast event, it might be a half day or almost a whole day event to do that. So you do have to weigh the opportunity cost. Working in PR, I'm very involved with PRSA, Public Relations Society of America. We have a vibrant chapter here in LA, and I've been very involved with it for I'll cap it at 20 years, like we're doing. We're capping it at 20, and I'm past president of the chapter, so I'm very involved with PRSA LA, and we still have a few offline events that are well attended. So I always follow that. There's a guy here in LA, you know him, Debra, Kevin Winston with Digital LA.
Yes, I spoke at one of Kevin's event in January, the day my book came out. It was a podcaster panel, and it was one of those things where I said yes before I could think twice about it. And right. I think that must be the secret to attending events, is saying yes before you have a chance to think.
There used to be an old guy here in LA named Julian Myers, and he would go to all the PRSA events, and he was like late 90s at the time, and he would always sit in the front row of every panel event. He'd always have his hand up asking questions. He'd be running around going crazy. And I spoke to him one day, and I said, you go to everything. How do you do this, And he said that if he can't think of X number of good reasons not to do something, he'll defer to doing it. Like he approaches every opportunity to go to an event with the mindset that he's going to go unless he can think of good reasons not good reasons to go.
I like that.
Yeah, and it was very inspiring. He passed away, I don't know, a number of years ago. But, I don't know if I'll be running around at events at 95, but
we should all be, right?
Yeah, big time.
Wow. Well, boy, we veered off track, but we didn't really. I think what we all decided is the key to visibility is to have conversations. Mm-hmm. Is that what we agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, podcast people, we've got nodding, we've got clapping. What is just one thing, though, before we go into the goals? I would love to know what's one thing someone could do to just stand out, because I think that also stops people. For me, I think I'm a really good example. I've got 3 people who are PR and marketing, and I put them together. Everybody is unique, so there's no reason. You are all yourselves. I'm saying this really poorly. There's a lot of people have competition mindset that they don't want. Oh, and Bobbie, you just talked about this recently. Bless you. That you want to be where your audience is, not where the competition is. But where do you find that balance? What can you do to be unique within the thing that you do so you do stand out? Boy, that was a long question.
And it's funny. Over the years, I've done some speaking and stuff for the PRSA. At the same time, I don't tend to use PRSA as a place where I do a lot of speaking because, you know, my clients and prospects are not necessarily at PRSA. My clients and prospects are usually at startup events. So they're not hanging out at the PRSA. So if I want to go and find prospects and my clients, PRSA is not it for me. Love them as an organization, but not my target audience per se. I will also say that, the question is, what does it take to stand out? And I usually tell people the same thing: get comfortable with public speaking in all its forms,
Mhm.
because you are never seen as a leader when you are sitting in the audience. And, a lot of these big events, even if it's online, offline, whatever, there's a lot of audience, and there's also usually a few people who are being featured. And those are the people that you want to be. So if you can get comfortable with public speaking, if you can come to the table with new ideas that are clearly and concisely stated, ideas that help people solve their problems, people want to hear more. That is really one of the keys.
Love that. Karen, what do you think it takes to stand out?
I think it takes being human. I think just that personal touch, getting to know somebody, being a human being, being somebody that's not just a number, that's just not another person calling on you, but actually being a human being. I had a client reach out to me today and tell me that one of his staff members' husbands passed away. And so I took a moment to be human in my instead of, and responding to the task at hand. You need to take time to be human and to acknowledge that people have real lives and real experiences, and reach out and just that personal touch.
Because people will remember
Mm-hmm.
people remember the people who go off script. If you hit a button, put in a coin, and I can go off on any number of topics as it has to do with goals and books and whatever. But do the people who interrupt, or rather who can respond, can communicate? That was the word I was looking for. People who can communicate beyond their song, their soapbox, makes a difference.
Yeah.
And let's face it, we all have a list. We all remember the people who are human to us when we needed them to be human, and those who just glossed over or just walked away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was unintentionally dark. Erik, what do you think it takes to stand out?
I mean, it's a pretty open-ended question, man. I could go in a million different directions. But I was just thinking about what Bobbie said, and that was a really good point about if you go to an event or you interact with people and they're your competitors, that's not where you're going to find new business leads. But interestingly enough, that's actually how it has worked for me, because almost all of my business is referral. Sometimes we'll reply to an RFP or really aggressively try to land a specific client, but 9 times or 9.9 times out of 10, it'll be a referral from a colleague, maybe someone at an agency a little bit bigger that can't service this client because it doesn't meet their budget threshold, or someone at a little bit smaller, independent practitioner who can't quite have the bandwidth to take care of that. And I realized a couple of years ago, I looked at my whole roster of clients and I said, man, every one of these was a referral from a colleague, someone who said, does this look like it's something you might want to work on? I can make a connection. So paying it forward. And, I try to pay that forward as much as I can. When an opportunity comes up, I try to be that referral source. Unfortunately, my batting average right now, I have a big deficit because I've had many more people refer things to me than I've ever been able to refer out to other people. But just be generous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a whole concept in the startup world. Thank you, Brad Feld. It's called give first.
Mm.
And I still get referrals because of Mass Innovation Nights 5.5 years after we did our last live event. People still send people to me because we never charged a startup anything. We never sold a ticket. We were only sponsored by large corporations who were, quite frankly, using Innovation Nights as a recruiting strategy. Come see my beautiful office and you will want to work here, which worked out great for them. But at the same time, for us, they gave us a place to hold our events. And all of the startups and all of the people who attended our events, they still send us business even 5.5 years later. So, the PRSA folks, I still speak to them. I still do presentations on public speaking. But I do really well at those startup events where people are like, oh, yeah, Bobbie, we remember her Innovation Nights, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's been a while, but that is me. So the more you can contribute to a community, the more the community, I hate to say it, feels it owes you, and it shouldn't feel that way, but they do give great referrals.
It's reciprocity. It's basic reciprocity.
Good way to put it.
Yep.
So if we were to put this in a nice bow, we would say to be visible, you need to be credible, you need to be heard, and you need to be human. And the more you that you are, that is how you stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add one thing to your list?
I would love for you to, please.
Be unexpected.
Mm.
Do not be the thing that is one Google search deep that people expect. People want to be grabbed. Like if you've got people listening and they are going, yeah. I knew that. Oh, wait, what was that? Let me grab my notepad and write that down. That's new. That's different. That's exciting. That is something I didn't expect. That gets interest and that gets you remembered. I was on a panel a couple weeks ago and it was all about community building. And the nicest, sweetest, most wonderful people are on this panel with me talking about why they do what they do. And I let them go and talk about all the wonderful reasons they had for being community builders. And I'm like, that's awesome. I was driven by rage. And everybody in the audience is like, what? What did she just say? And I'm like, I was driven by rage. I was tired of going to conferences and events and seeing no women on that stage. And I got angry and I did something about it. And people are like, okay, that's a little different. Wakes up the audience, that's for sure.
Okay, outrage. Is that why whenever I say I hate SMART goals, people look at me a little bit deeper?
Entirely possible.
Yes. Anyway.
So somebody just posted on the chat that visibility is so important when growing. And I think it's even more important thank you so much for putting that up there, Deb. Visibility is so important when growing. I think it's important throughout your entire career. You do not want to drift away and to become somebody that's pegged in a hole, in a pigeonhole.
Keisha Marie.
Yes, and Keisha Marie, thank you for posting the comment. She is an Innovation Women member, and she has also been on GoalChat. So thank you for tuning in, Keisha Marie. We should have you back. It's been a while, but very important. Visibility is important for all your phases. And one thing that I say frequently, because, Deb Method starts with determine your mission, who you are, what you're about. The essence of you does not change. And that goes back to the human, credible, authentic, blah, blah, blah person. But through your life, through your journey, you're going to see opportunities and other chances to grow. And when you see who you are, and I think this applies to visibility well as well, when you know who you are, when you know what makes sense for you, it's much easier to go toward your goals because you get the opportunities, you see them, you know them. Anyway, this has been so much fun. I knew it would be. I love being right. Before we wrap, I love for you all to gift a goal to the audience. So what is something that they could do today, tomorrow, immediately to be more visible? Karen, do you want to start us out?
I'd love to start us out. I would say take time to reach out to somebody, whether it's every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every Tuesday, at least once a week. Make a point of reaching out to somebody you haven't talked to, a client, a prospect, somebody who could refer you business, somebody that you enjoy talking to. Reach out to somebody and have a real conversation.
And I guarantee you will both benefit from it. They're going to be so happy you were thinking of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you will benefit because you never know. Somebody once told me this story. They did one of these "Hi, how are you?" reach outs, and the person they reached out to said, "Do you know that we just sent out an RFP?" They did not, and because they said a "Hi, how are you?" they applied for it and got this gig just by saying a hi out of nowhere. So you never go into it with that intention. But sometimes really cool things happen just because you're checking in with someone. Erik, goal?
I think this is almost exactly what you just said, but I have you referenced several times, think strategically and not becoming enamored with that shiny object, whether it's the hammer or the power saw or whatever, Debra, you said earlier, the slow cooker or whatever it was.
No, Instant Pot. Slow cooker is the opposite of me,
okay.
But okay.
Okay, but don't start with the tool. And there's an acronym, a simple 4-letter acronym that you can keep in mind, which is POST, P-O-S-T. Start with the people that you want to reach and the objectives that you want to accomplish. Then you move on to your strategies, the general plan of action for accomplishing that. And then finally, the last thing that you tackle are the tools and the tactics. So don't start with the tools and tactics. Start with the people and objectives and then move your way down.
Okay. In this, to put in the visibility context, let's just say when thinking through visibility, go with the post, right?
Yeah, be strategic. And this is really all communications. Even if I'm talking to my wife, I want to think about what am I trying to accomplish here? What's my strategy? What's my tactic? So really in life, try to be objective oriented. Or just be human too. I mean, there's a combination.
Okay, I didn't mean, of course I did totally mean to test you on that. I love it. Don't just throw the spaghetti, even though sometimes you really want to throw spaghetti at a wall.
Or don't go for the Instapot until you know if you're going to make something that you can make with an Instapot.
Oh, no, don't be hating on my Instapot. You can make anything in there. Okay. Bobbie, and yes, next week we will be talking food, and it will be mostly food, because food.
I love Erik's acronym. I really like me a good acronym, but I'm gonna just give everybody a 1-word, 2-letter command. Go out. Get off your butt, get out of your chair, go somewhere and see people, real people that you can touch. I think it's important for us to have those in-person connections with folks. I love my Zoom. I spend way too much time here, as you probably figured out from all of this stuff. But I do think that, those conversations that we have with people in person versus online, there's something special about it. And I want everybody else to feel that way too. So go.
Love it. Yes, I've got 2 of my clients are based in LA, and I now do give them the option. Do they want to meet in person?
Nice.
Or do they want to meet on Zoom? Or one of them, we decided we're going to do one of our meetings a month in person. So find the balance. I think it's pre-pandemic. I used to say a great networking goal is to do 1 event a week. Now I say everything's electronic. You can easily do 3, 1 networking, 1 education, 1 one-on-one. And I'm going to just start adding to that to make one of those IRL, because it does make a difference. And it's really easy. Well, it's just me. If I want to see people, I have to leave the house. So some days I'm like, I haven't been out of the house, and okay, I got to go do something, arrange a thing. And what do you know? I'm more productive when I come home, even if it's just a trip to the grocery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to see other humans. And, right now in our age of lots of online communication, lots of AI, things like that, just having those in-person connections to reset and ground us, I think they're going to be more and more important as time goes on.
Yes. And I will add, the reason I was able to talk myself out of going to the thing in Redondo Beach was because I knew in 3 days I was going to Anaheim for the convention. So it was
lots of people.
Yes. I'm like, I'll make up for it. Honest.
And by the way, folks, just so to be clear, I am an introvert. Going out in person and talking to people is difficult. Like, I have to come back home and recover from events. And I ran many events, and it was hard, but it is something that I feel is so important to my mental health, my professional health, and, just everything that we're doing for the community at large.
And I am an extrovert, which when I tell people, yeah, I love my comfort zone at home. How do you call yourself an extrovert? The more you know thyself, the more you can get out there, do the things you need to do to be more visible, make your solutions known so you can help more people. Because I think at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We're here for a purpose. We know things, and we want other people to know the things that we know so they can have better lives. Bottom line of the whole giving mentality of entrepreneurship in this day and age. This has been so much fun. Friends, where can people learn more about you, Bobbie?
innovationwomen.com. Come find me.
And if you go to West Coast Speaker Friend Fridays on the 1st and 3rd, you will most likely see me there as well. I love that touching of the faces. And Erik, where can people learn more about you?
Hey, you can visit agency website, ExcelPR.com. And of course, find me on LinkedIn.
Excellent. And Karen?
I will tap into that. Find me on LinkedIn, Karen Gunther, or go to my website, stayvisiblemarketing.com.
And I am at the Deb Method everywhere. And if you go to the debmethod.com/blog, you will get to read the recap and get the goals and get everybody's links and their LinkedIns. I put those in the recap as well. And if you need a little extra encouragement on your goals, grab a copy of your goal guide and/or 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting, or at your favorite place to buy books. And for regular motivation, I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And you can also subscribe to GoalChat. And also, if you love food, Taste Buds with Deb on your favorite podcast platform. Okay, friends, it's been jam-packed, tangent adjacent. What final thought do you want to leave people with today? Erik, what final thought do you want people to... Wait, there you go. Erik, what final thought do you want to leave people with today?
I want to encourage people to tune in every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific to watch you and hear what your guests have to say.
Okay, I love that you said that, but what's the final thought on visibility?
Visibility, God, I feel like I kind of gave that away with post, my afternoon about thinking strategically. Just do it. We're talking... Bobbie, you mentioned being an introvert, and I don't know if I'm an introvert, but I'm so accustomed to talking about clients. If you put me in front of a microphone to talk about a client, I could be there all day. But if you put a microphone in front of me and tell me to tell you about myself, I clam up. It's just I'm really a behind the camera guy, or in front of the camera on behalf of other people. But you got to overcome whatever is stopping you from being the person you can be and getting that visibility. Just overcome it.
And I think we did you a service because we made you talk about yourself today. So you are welcome.
Thank you.
Karen, what final thoughts?
Yes. I guess I would say take action. You know, if you are personally going to reach out and do something, do it. Take the action. If you find that every time you try to take that action, you're not taking that action, hire an employee, task an employee, hire a subcontractor, do something. Just take action.
Works for me, because if you're not moving forward, you're not moving, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Bobbie, the introvert, final thought to you.
I'm laughing because Erik and I are very similar. I always tell people I'm the spotlight, not the star of the show. I'm shining a spotlight on other people. That is the role of the PR person. And at the same time, you know, I ran innovation nights for 11 years, and every once in a while I'd come across somebody who was exhibiting at one of our event, and they would tell me what an incredible life-changing thing was for their company. And, oh yeah, they're hiring a PR and marketing firm, all thanks to me. They've grown their company. And I'm like, so you do know I run a marketing firm, right? And they'd be like, no, really? I'm like, so I'm going to say, hey, folks, get over yourselves and be self-promotional. Tell people what you do. I don't know if everybody remembers, because that was now, what, an hour and 13 minutes ago. But when I introduce myself, like, I have a little thing. Like, my day job is a PR and marketing firm. My night job for many years was Innovation Nights. And my dream job is Innovation Women. Like, it's a thing. And it's all goes together. And it helps me remember to say it and to include all three companies. So figure out how you can keep telling people what you do to remind them what you do. Thanks, Deb. Always love coming to visit you.
Oh, thank you. Loved having you on. Thank you, Bobbie, Erik, Karen. Thank you for tuning in to GoalChat. As I said, I'm at the Deb Method everywhere, and you can also subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. So there is no reason for you all not to be more visible. Own who you are, be human, and just do the things, because people need what you have to offer. It is your job to tell them what that is. Thanks, everybody. Go be more visible. We know you can do it.